Hi everyone, it's Heather at Gypsy Crafter Journals. Today I'm just going to show you very quickly how I make fabric washi tape. So I have a stash of this stuff ready to go in projects. So if I'm starting to make a journal, then I'll make up some in colours that I think coordinate nicely, so that I don't have to sort of spend time choosing things when I'm making it. So this is just some of the stash that I've got and I've used in previous journals. So I've got a little bit of felt there, so it's nice for a Christmas book. This spotty one's quite nice for retro stuff, and I've got an idea for a recipe journal, so I might use that in there actually, because that goes quite nicely with some of the colours in that. This is sort of some lovely fabric, cotton fabric that I've used in one of the vintage style books. So you can see basically what I've done is just look through my fabric stash, and I have quite a large stash, and then I've made up my washi tape by using some double-sided tape. Now I use carpet tape, usually double-sided carpet tape, because that's really strong. So what I do, I'll just pop this away one side so it's out of the way. You can get, it's a nice way to quickly add a pop of colour and different texture to your journal. So I like to have a little stash available. I'm going to have to sort that out later, so I'll just pop that in there and put it to one side. So what I do, I fish through my stash of fabrics, and I've done that, I did that last night because I knew I'd be needing some fabrics to go with this particular journal that I'm planning at the moment. I'm using pinks and greens, so I fished out some fabrics that I thought might go nicely with that particular journal. Some of these are vintage fabrics. These remind me of my mum, because my mum gave me those ones. These ones aren't vintage, they are new from these are just offcuts from larger pieces I use for different projects, and that's actually from some, it's a scrap from some quilting pieces. So I picked out some lovely fabrics, so I'm going to be doing those ones today. And what I have done, this is to protect my workspace, because I don't want the tape to stick to my background, because it's a bit of a pain to get off, because it's really strong. So I've got some, this is double-sided tape and it's thin, but it's very similar to the carpet tape that I'm using, so I'm assuming it's the same sort of stuff. I don't know where I got this from, probably Amazon. This is carpet tape, it's really sticky. Can you see that? It's even sticky onto the Teflon sheet. So this is actually it's called Ultra Tape, and it's a carpet tape. So it's an adhesive, two-sided adhesive. You stick, what I do is cut my fabric strips, unless it's like this already, these are fabric scraps, and it just so happens that these scraps I've got are approximately the same width as my tape, and that's what I tend to do. I save scraps, or I cut my fabric using my quilting ruler. I'm not going to do that now, but I use my quilting ruler, which has got my shower handle on it. I use my quilting ruler and my roller cutter, rotary cutter, and I cut myself some strips in approximately the same size as the tape that I'm using. Now if I'm using the thinner tape, I don't do that, I just have little scraps of fabric. And all I do is take the piece of fabric and I lie the double-sided tape onto the fabric, obviously on the wrong side, and then when you turn it over you've got some fabric washi ready to go. I usually cut them, as you can see the ones I've got in my little box, there's no overhang on those. So this bit here, what I have done again is take the quilting ruler and my rotary cutter, and I've just cut off the extra on there. But you can keep it on and then you can fray it up. So in the example of this, I've just left the excess on, because that's actually an edge of the fabric. So you can then sort of, if you want, shabby that up and use that to stick down as well. So there you go. But yeah, normally what I'll do is neaten it up so it's almost like having a roll of washi tape, but really thick, because it's nice thick. And it's great for edges and just adding a pop of colour. So that's really good. So I'll be doing some more of these today. I'll basically just, can be a bit fiddly, so chances are this will go wrong because I've turned the camera on. I've got some scissors. But you don't, obviously you don't have to use a rotary cutter, you just use your scissors if you want. But bear in mind this stuff's really sticky and it might stick to your scissors. I did hear actually oiling your scissors makes a difference. But whether it does or not, I don't know. I tend to use sticky stuff remover after I've used it. So there you go. So I've put my double-sided tape on and then I basically just cut. It's actually not that bad, this one. It doesn't tend to stick to the scissors quite as bad as that awful foam tape. There you go, then you just press it down. Now over time it might bubble a bit, I noticed that this one has, but to be honest, when you stick it down onto your project, that tends to go away when it's stuck down on paper, so you don't tend to notice it, and you can literally just run your hand over it and get rid of any of the bubbles. So there you go, so that's stuck on there, and then you can just use your scissors to make a neat edge, or to just cut off bits that you want. So for example, you can just cut a little bit off, neaten up the edges, make them worse, and then use that perhaps as a fabric tab, so a pull tab on a, I don't know, on a tag or something like that, or a tab on the side of your book page, or literally just lay them up and then you've got a patchwork effect on your project. I just wanted to add a little bit to this video to say I've done something slightly different. Instead of using my normal straight edge rotary cutter, because I can't find it, I've moved things around recently, and of course that thing which used to be on this desk in the corner I have moved along with some fabric scissors, my stainless steel fabric scissors. Goodness only knows what I've done with them, so I need to hunt those out later. So what I used was my wavy edge rotary cutter. I don't know whether you can see, but I got an absolutely lovely effect. I'm really pleased with that. Now I did want to say very as a bit of a warning, if you are cutting this out and you're sort of, because obviously they're sort of joined when you first do it, if you do it in do a few strips on one piece of fabric, this stuff is actually very slippy, so if you're using a quilting ruler on it to then use a rotary cutter, it could slip slightly when you're using it, so be ever so careful. I don't know whether you'd want to consider either cutting it on the doing the strips a little bit further apart, or just do one strip at a time, so you can usually sort of see through cotton, see the tape through the cotton, and maybe do it on the fabric side. But just be very careful if you're cutting it with the quilting ruler and you're using that way and you're cutting it onto the backing of the carpet tape. That's very slippy and your ruler does tend to move around a little bit, so that's just a warning. Just be very careful when you're cutting, okay? Alternatively, stick to the usual way of scissors and just literally cut it out. Or, it's just occurred to me, I have one of these rotary trimmers. Now it may gunk your blade up a little bit. I don't know whether this will work, so let's have a look. I don't know what I've got, how much blade I've got in, to be honest. What's in? Oh, I've got a wavy blade in there, so let's just quickly see. But this could well gunk your blade up, so warning now, taking no responsibility for wrecking your craft tools. Ah, and that works perfectly as well. So there you go. So that's another way of getting a wavy edge or a guillotine edge, or stick with scissors if that's what you've got. Do what you've got. Right then, that's it. That was the injection, and with the rest of the fabric, because I cut out a few extra pieces and I've made them into strips. I'm going to make some ruffles, so I might show you what I've done with those, but I've got a few, so I'll probably make some ruffles and maybe some little clusters using the offcuts. So there you go then. Thanks very much. Bye. So that's it. So basically that's all there is to it. A roll of carpet tape, some fabric strips, fabric offcuts, scraps, and then you've got a lovely stash of pretty fabric to add a little bit of a different texture and colour to your journals. So that's it, simple as that. So that's it for today, and hopefully you are subscribed to my channel. If you aren't, then please do give me a thumbs up if you like this video, and obviously click the notification bell if you want to see future videos from me. Take care, thanks very much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!